Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode on Faith Like Wildflowers podcast. For today's episode, we're continuing the Proverbs series and moving on to chapter 14 of Proverbs. But before we do that, let's get started with prayer. Dear Lord, I just thank you for today and for Proverbs 14, Lord, and all the wisdom that's in it, and for Solomon and all the wisdom that you gave him and how he wrote it down and then you chose to write it or have it in the Bible, Lord, that I can read today and we can read today together, Lord. And I just pray that you will give us wisdom as we interpret it and what Solomon was saying, Lord, and as we learn how to apply that to our lives to reflect you and live more to how Jesus lived as an example for us, Lord. And so I just pray this all in your name. Amen. Alright, Proverbs 14, verse 1. The wise woman built her house, but her own hands the foolish one tears hers down. But with her own hands the foolish one tears hers down. Whoever fears the Lord walks uprightly, but those who despise him are devious in their ways. A fool's mouth lashes out with pride, but the lips of the wise protect them. Where there are no oxen, the manger is empty, but the strength of an ox come abundant harvest. As honest witness does not deceive, but a false witness pours out lies. So someone who is wise and is devoted to God and has wisdom from the Lord and seeks the Lord will build her house, but the foolish one will tear her own house down. That just shows how destructive sin and not being devoted to God is, and just how it gets you nowhere in life and it's not fulfilling and not satisfactory. But when you are devoted to God and you're following him wholeheartedly, then he will bless you and you will have wisdom and you will just feel so much more satisfied and fulfilled in life and be so much more successful, which is what people are chasing all the time, but sometimes not through the right things or after the right things to be successful. It's also talking about how it's important to fear the Lord and then you will be walking uprightly, and how that's the right way to walk. And fearing the Lord isn't necessarily being scared of him, but just like understanding his greatness and his power and who he is, and wanting to seek him more, and learn more about him. So talks about how fool's mouth lashes out with pride, and we kind of talked about that in previous episodes, but the lips of the wise protect them. When you speak with wisdom, you are protected. And yes, people are going to judge. They judge Jesus first, though. But I think saying that it's protected just kind of means, like, when you're fully devoted to God and you love him that much, you're not really going to care what others are thinking about you. Or you shouldn't care what others are thinking about you, because you know that you're doing the right thing, and you know that it's, when you have that strong of a faith, you know that the Lord is watching and that it will be storing you up treasures in heaven and getting you a place in heaven. It's also talking about an honest witness does not deceive. It's important to be telling the truth and not lying or swaying the truth at all. And yeah. Alright, moving on to verse 6. The mocker seeks wisdom and finds none, but knowledge comes easily to the discerning. Stay away from the fool, for you will not find knowledge on their lips. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of the fools is deception. Fools mock at making amends for sin, but goodwill is found among the upright. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. Knowledge comes from easily to the discerning, so it's important to discern with God, and you will have knowledge and wisdom, and he will be leading you and guiding you, and you won't have to be like, oh, am I supposed to do this or am I not? Like, when you're devoted to God and you're faithful to him and you're faithfully seeking him and continuously asking him for discernment for something, he will give you the discernment and the knowledge, and he will guide you and make your path straight and lead you to what you are supposed to do or where you're supposed to go. And then stay away from the fool, for you will not find knowledge on their lips. do not be surrounding yourself with people who are not knowledgeable in the Lord and not wise in the Lord, and devoted to Him, because you will not get the advice and wisdom from the Lord. It will be from whatever they're saying or whatever the devil's saying through them, and that is not what you want to be leading and guiding you. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways. It's important that we take every thought captive, and think before we act and think before we speak, and again, discernment with the Lord, because He will lead and guide you. Alright, moving on to verse 11. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. Even in laughter the heart may ache, and rejoicing may end in grief. The faithfulness will be fully repaid for their ways, and the good rewarded for theirs. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought in their steps. So I think this is for verse 12. It's saying there's a way with the Lord, and that's the narrow path, and then there's a way with sin and with the world and not with God, that leads to hell, and that is a wide path. Excuse me. And they're very clear, and it's not really a wishy-washy thing. And the wide path, and the path to sin, leads to death, but it looks like it's more appealing, and it looks like it has more fun pleasures. But the way of heaven will have more treasures stored up in heaven that are way better than anything on this earth. And yes, that road might be harder. I think both roads are hard, because obviously with things of the world comes difficulty as well, and just any life you live, there are difficult moments and hardships. But you will be persecuted or made fun of, or it's just not the normal thing in most countries to be a Christian, and so it will be a harder path. Both paths are very clear in the Bible of what they lead to, even though it might look like one thing. It will lead to death, or it will lead to life in heaven. So I think that's what verse 12 is getting at. Sorry, I'm just reading over these verses again, seeing if I want to say anything on them, or if anything sticks out to me. For verse 15, the simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought in their steps. It's important to not be so... it's important to know what you believe, and to stand firm on that. So it's important to be rooted in the Word, so that you know what you believe, and when someone questions you about it, or someone's testing you about it, that you can stand firm in what you believe, and you can share what you believe with knowledge and wisdom that makes sense, and you're not like, actually, what do I believe, or how do I explain my faith? But that you can easily explain your faith to someone who's maybe not a Christian, or who's challenging you. And to not be so gullible about what other people are saying that you could easily turn your faith around to something else that's not God, whether that's a worldly thing or another God, a religion. So being rooted in the Word, and knowing what you believe, and having that strong faith and guarding your heart. Alright, verse 16, because I don't remember if I read that already. The wise fear the Lord and shun evil, but a fool is hot-headed and yet feels secure. A quick-tempered person does foolish things, and the one who devises evil schemes is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Evildoers will bow down in their presence of the good, and the wicked at the gates of righteous. The poor will be shunned even by their neighbors, and the rich may have many friends. It is a sin to despise one's neighbor, but blessed is the one who is kind to the needy. Do not those who plot evil go astray, and those who plan what is good find love and faithfulness. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. The wealth of the wise is their crown, but the folly of fools yields folly. Okay. For verse 17, again talking about just being quick or slow to think, slow to act and slow to speak, and not being so quick-tempered and acting on your emotions and just like kind of thinking about them and taking everything in and just taking a moment to settle down, because you will make foolish decisions when you are acting on your emotions and acting out of anger or just being quick-tempered. Yeah. Verse 20, the poor are shunned even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. I don't know what Solomon actually meant when he wrote that, but what I am interpreting this as, or what I am taking away from this, and seeing is we are going to be viewed as poor or like different, obviously, and they will be shunned away from their neighbors, but that's what they did to Jesus too, and they literally killed Jesus on the cross and hated him first. So following God, that's okay. Being rich and having worldly things, you will have many friends, but people are going to want to be friending you for the wrong reasons. And I don't want friends who only want me for what I have or my riches. I want friends who actually care about me and want to be my friend because of who I am and my personality, and not because of what I do for them or what I have for them. That's not a true friend. Blessed is the one who is kind to the needy, and it's a sin to despise one's neighbor. It's important to be serving others, just as Jesus did. All hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. It's important to not just talk about things, but to not actually go forth with them. If the Lord calls you to do something, don't just continuously talk about it or expect someone else to do it. It's important to actually go forth and do it, and to put in the hard work, because that will lead to blessings, and have a profit. Right, verse 25, a truthful witness saves lives, but a false witness is deceitful. Whoever fears the Lord has a secure fortress, and for their children it will be a refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, and turning a person from the snare of death. A large population is a king's glory, but without subjects a prince is ruined. Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly. A heart of peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. When you're fearing the Lord, you have a secure fortress. When you're understanding who God is, you have a firm foundation in him, because you know who he is and how he's faithful and what he has done for you, and what he can do, and just understanding that he is powerful and that he's so loving and has your best interests in mind and literally created you and has the best plan for you, and so that can be your firm foundation and how you have your hope in him. And yeah, it will be he's our refuge and strength. And the fear of the Lord is also a fountain of life, and it will just produce blessings in our life, and we will just be so much more satisfied and have so much more joy in our life. Whoever is patient has great understanding. Patience is so hard. But when you're patient, you understand that God's timing and plan is so perfect and beautiful, and is so much better than anything that you could ever try to make happen or have planned in your life. So even though it's so hard, it has great understanding, and it's so good. And obviously we can have peace in the Lord, verse 30. And when we have a heart of peace, it gives life to the body and just makes things so much easier, because we're not worrying and stressing ourselves out and being all tense, and it's just not fun when that happens. So having peace in the Lord and trusting in him and being patient in his timing. Alright, picking up at verse 31. Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. When calamity comes, the wicked are brought down, but even in death the righteous seek refuge in God. Wisdom reposes in the heart of discerning, and even among fools she lets herself be known. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin condemns any people. A king delights in a wise servant, but a shameful servant arouses his fury. Whoever is kind to the needy honors God. I know in the Bible, in the New Testament, it talks about whatever the disciples did for Jesus, they also did, or whatever they did for the poor, they also did for Jesus, and whatever they did not do for the poor, they also did not do for Jesus. And so when we are kind to those who are needy or do not have, cannot provide for themselves, when we are honoring God, we are also serving God in that way. When calamity comes, the wicked are brought down, but even in death the righteous seek refuge. When hardships come, the wicked are brought down, and they don't have something that's a firm foundation to lean on. But for the righteous and the Christians and the faithful ones to God, when hardships come, we have a hope and faith in God, and we know that He will get us through, and we have a firm foundation that we can lean on, and we will not be washed out by the waves and the hardships that come. A king delights in his wise servant. God is a king, and so he delights in those who are wise and who are the servants and are serving others. And it just brings him joy. And I want to live my life to be able to bring God joy and live in righteousness in what He calls me to do. So yeah, that's all that I got from Proverbs 14. I hope that helped you guys to kind of learn more about what Proverbs is saying, and I want you guys to comment down below what God gave you of revelations and what God taught you through Proverbs 14, or any comments that you have on anything that I said as well. But that's what I got from it and what God was speaking to me for it. And so yeah, I want to learn also what you guys learned. So yeah, I ask that you guys can comment, and I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day.